Hello class, so we are currently in chapter 6, Improving Readability with Style and Design. And in this chapter, our learning objectives are going to include describing and applying the following principles of writing style that improve ease of reading, such as completeness, conciseness, and natural processing. We're also going to explain and use navigational design to improve ease of writing. And finally, we're going to describe and apply the components of the reviewing stage, including a fair test, proofreading, and feedback. So when we're looking at improving ease of reading with completeness, there are some basic strategies to keep in mind. Provide all relevant information. In this case, we want to plan, write, and review your messages strategically. We want to include only the necessary information in the message. Secondly, we want to be accurate. Your accuracy is what's going to enhance your credibility with your audience. They're going to trust your future communications based on your accuracy of the information. Finally, being specific. Being specific includes focusing on the main ideas, getting to the point, and making sure that you are presenting a very brief response so that your audience doesn't get bored and start skimming through the rest of your details and moving on. Improving the ease of reading with conciseness. We want to omit needless words so that your reader can rapidly process your main ideas. You want to say as few words as possible, and with this, the strategies include controlling your paragraph length, getting your paragraph down to maybe 40 to 80 words with just one main idea would do that. Using shorter sentences that include 15 words or less. Avoiding redundancy. We don't want to repeat things that we've already said over and over again. Avoiding empty phrases. Stay away from buzzwords or figures of speech, such as phrases like, with all due respect, or needless to say. So you don't want to use those types of catchphrases. And then also we want to use single word verbs instead of prepositional phrases. That's going to reduce your word count and it's going to get right to the point. When we're looking at improving ease of reading with natural style, this is when we're talking about using action verbs when possible. You can see here that is first and foremost, you want to find the nouns that you can convert to action words. And then second, you want to find forms of verbs that can be used and converted into action words as well. One way to do this would be to choose short, familiar words. And again, this is the time where you want to stay away from buzzwords or those popular catchphrases or figures of speech. This is just a list of the most annoying buzzwords. We've used these words, you can see them here. Words such as downsizing, do more with less, synergy. So just looking at this list, we want to reduce our usage of these annoying buzzwords. We also want to avoid using it is and there are. There's a reason for that. Readers want you to get to the point and they want to know who the it is and what they are doing. So they want more specific feedback. Some examples of this look like this. Instead of saying there are many ways you can help out as a social ambassador, just tell them what there are is. So the more efficient way or effective way to say this sentence would be, as a social ambassador, you can help in many ways. And you can see how we're reducing our words by shifting the sentence and getting to the point. An example of replacing it is, a longer sentence might be, it is wonderful to see kids not worrying about where their next meal comes from. Getting straight to the point, seeing kids not worrying about their next meal is wonderful. Again, we're reducing our word count and getting straight to the point. So the next topic that we're going to look at is improving the ease of reading with navigational design. This is the primary goal of document design that makes your message easy to navigate. And ways to do this includes using headings. Headings are ways to identify your key ideas. Highlighting. You want to use the bold, italic, and underlining to draw and keep the reader's attention, but you don't want to use too much of that. Use lists when necessary so that we can see the key points in your writing. Also, the use of white space is important because having too many words on one slide or one page can feel overwhelming. So you want to strategically use your white space. And you don't want to use too much white space because then your report might look insufficient. So be careful with that. Simplicity is also important because we want to keep things simple and not have distracting formatting. So as you are reviewing your message, our final objective for this chapter includes conducting the FAIR test. FAIR is an acronym and it stands for Facts, Access, Impacts, and Respect. And once you conduct the FAIR test in your message, you want to go back and proofread always and look for feedback. So looking at FAIR, the facts. Are you confident in your facts? Are your assumptions clear? And are you avoiding misleading tactics? So the facts. When you're looking at access, you want to make sure that the people involved have been granted enough access to make decisions on the information. They have granted access to give input when needed. When you're open about your motives, you don't look like you have a hidden agenda. So access is very important to the FAIR test. And then looking at impacts, the I. Have you thought how your message is going to impact certain stakeholders? And have you evaluated the impacts from the ethical, corporate, or legal perspectives? And then finally, the R stands for respect. Have you demonstrated respect for the others that are involved, looking at their aspirations, thoughts, feelings, and well-being? Also, have you shown that you value others? So with that, you have completed the FAIR test if you've gone through those 4 areas. These are the details for Chapter 6. Hopefully you enjoyed it.